Hey everyone, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast Network's Roundtable. Yep, you got it. It's Friday. It's time for the Roundtable. But guess what? We're going to make some bold predictions about this Bills-Vikings game. No Luke Brown, so don't worry, people. We're not worried about Kirk Cousins making throws in the red zone. But today, we're going to talk about Justin Jefferson, Stefon Diggs. What's the bold prediction there? Stay tuned for that.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local expert. And it starts now.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I am your host, Ron Johnson. This is the Locked On Sports Minnesota Roundtable. We got Sam Ekstrom, we got Reggie Wilson from Care 11, and we have Luke Inman, one of the most interesting men in the world. We got Case Keenum versus Kirk Cousins. We got Stefon Diggs versus Justin Jefferson. It's a loaded show, people. We got to talk about Timberwolves, too, because the Timberwolves are headed to where the Lakers are, and that's no man's land. But as we jump out, first topic, fellas, this game, like I said, if you listen to me and you went to betonline.net and you put your money on the Vikings early in the week, you're going to get paid off. So feel free to tip your sharp when you get a chance, because I took care of you guys. But if you waited, you might be playing with fire right now because it's a little too close to call. But when they were giving that 9 points early and then that 7.5, you should have bet Vikings to cover. That was easy. Now, who knows what you're going to get out of this one, but make sure you check that out on betonline.net. But I'm going to start with you, Sam. Vikings, Bills, what's your bold prediction of the week?
All right, I am locked in on this run game this week because last week the run game really did nothing for Minnesota at Washington. They have no choice but to run the ball well against the Buffalo Bills. This is a time of possession battle, because if the Vikings get into a back and forth, up and down the field kind of struggle with the Bills, they're going to lose. I don't care who their quarterback is. I still think the Buffalo offense is above average with Case Keenum at the helm. They need to run the ball. They need to control the clock. The Vikings are 28th in average time of drive this season. They've got to hold on to the ball much more effectively than they have been. That means running the football. I think they put a sixth lineman out there, try to combat this sixth-ranked Buffalo run defense, and I think they just pound it with Dalvin Cook. Conditions might not be great weather-wise. I think they're going to rush it 25 or more times. I think Dalvin gets a season high in carries, goes for 175 and 2 touchdowns, and they lean on Blake Brandel as a sixth lineman in the game. What do you think of that?
That's pretty bold. You jumped out there. Let's go with you next, Luke.
Yeah, Ron, I'll give you 3. I'll make them quick. 1, offense, defense, special teams. Offensively, TJ Hawkinson is going to show us what he can do with a full week of preparation. He's going to have a Travis Kelce-type performance, double-digit catches, triple-digit yardage, and finds the end zone for his first TD in purple. Kirk's going to have a tough time against this Bills secondary, really good cornerbacks. He's going to start to grow an obsession with this new security blanket. Defensively, Caleb Evans does it again. Balls out, holds his own against Diggs and Gabe Davis, multiple PBUs, another tackle for loss. This guy was outstanding, tackling out on the boundary, and his first career interception. He's going to show everybody why Kwesi did move up in the 4th round. Lastly, last time the Vikings played an AFC opponent outdoor on the roads in snowy conditions, 2013 versus the Ravens, maybe the wildest final 2 minutes of a game we've ever seen in Vikings history. In that final 2 minutes, 77-yard kickoff return. I think Vikings, who don't have a special teams touchdown this year, I think you see it happen Sunday, whether it's Kene Nwangu or Jalen Reagor. I think they scored the first special teams touchdown of the year this Sunday in Buffalo.
Okay. Reggie, what you got?
Good Lord, it's hard to come behind all of that. You know, I don't think my bold predictions are maybe that bold. But I think I'm going like fully counter to Sam. For some reason, I get a feeling like this game might get out of hand, and it might get out of hand for the away team. I don't know why I get that feeling, but I think Kirk Cousins may see his first 300-plus yard passing performance of the season, 3+ touchdowns on Sunday. And I think actually what's going to be interesting is Justin Jefferson, you know, going into Buffalo, into Diggs' new house now. I think he's going to outperform Stefon Diggs because maybe the Bills are going to be pressing a little bit. You know, Case said that it's just a game because, you know, He's played a lot of his former teams because he has a lot of former teams. But, playing Minnesota just means a little bit differently for him because he got some history here. They made some magic here with the Minneapolis Miracle, him and Diggs. And so I think we'll see Kirk outduel Case.
I like that. I was going to go Kirk on like a big game, 350 yards. I like the Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs. I think Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs both go for over 125 yards. I'm going to go with TJ Hockenson. I think this is going to be a 10-catch TJ Hockenson day with a touchdown or two. Like, I think this is going to be a team that now learns that, you know what? They're paying attention to Justin Jefferson in the red zone way too much. You got to go to Justin Jefferson. I don't care how many times you just keep going to him when he has man coverage, but I think Kevin O'Connell, this gave him an entire week to prepare on how to get TJ Hockenson the ball. Iowa grad, tight end you look at George Kittle and all these other tight ends that have come out of there. You have now a guy that can block and catch, big body, big frame. He fits the mold. I'm going to go TJ Hockenson, 10 catches, a touchdown or two in this game versus the Buffalo Bills. I just feel like this is a team that's going to try to take away your best option. We know Leslie Frazier loves to do that, just like Bill Belichick. Take away their best option. The best option is Justin Jefferson. So here comes TJ Hockenson. Here's another one, a what-if question. And I know my answer. It's going to be brash. It's going to be probably a little bit ignorant maybe. But what if the Vikings had re-signed Case Keenum instead of Kirk Cousins in 2018? Let's go in reverse. Start with you, Reggie.
I think they would have some problems, but I also think they probably have the young quarterback of the future right now. We've seen Case kind of bounce around to different teams since he left Minnesota. Hasn't really worked out because he is a solid quarterback, but he's in a role that I think suits him at this point in his career. He's a backup. He's long been a backup. I remember back in St. Louis when he was battling Nick Foles for the starting job there. They were kind of playing musical chairs. Like, I think that the Vikings would probably have found a new solution to quarterback, and it probably would have been via the draft because I don't know if Case would have worked out here long term. So I think they made the right decision letting him go and keeping and signing Kirk.
So you said that they would have had the quarterback of the future. So you're saying that they would have like been so bad they would have had an early pick, or what is that about? Case Keenum can't win games?
Yeah, I mean they would have been okay, but I don't know if they would have been, top tier. They probably would have had some growing pains.
I like that. All right, Luke, what you got?
No, I'm kind of with Reggie. That defense that year, top 10 in points allowed, top 5 in yards allowed. So in typical Zim fashion, they probably still win a handful of games because of the defense. Instead of 8-7-1, they probably go 6-10. That means the following draft, the Keenum experiment's over. They're picking in the top 10. Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, they're off the board. So desperate for a quarterback, what do? They pull another massive reach a la Christian Ponder, and they draft 12th overall, Drew Lock, quarterback out of Missouri.
Oh, no.
Another horrible season, another horrible offseason. That leads to Zimmer and Spielman being fired the next season. Zimmer blames the rookie quarterback, says he wanted a veteran. The only good news there is that they would be in another top 10 situation to maybe draft, to Reggie's point, a Justin Herbert or a Tua Tagovailoa. Flip side of that, though, you draft one of those guys, you don't end up with Justin Jefferson at 22. So I think that whole thing crumbles the next few years if Spielman doesn't go out and get Kirk Cousins, despite Zimmer kind of chirping in his ear saying, that's a bad idea. I don't want that. So scary to think about, knowing there was a lot of people who said rolling with Keenum was the right move after that kind of 13-3 magical run they had.
Sam, what you got?
Yeah, Luke really copied what I was going to say there, because I think 2018 probably goes badly for the Vikings. Assuming that they signed Keenum to the same 2-year deal that Denver did, then Keenum goes into his final year. The Vikings draft a quarterback, like Luke said, might have been Dwayne Haskins. That was the other quarterback that went in the first round that year. And really, between Locke, Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins, there aren't a lot of quarterbacks that you can say, oh, wow, Vikings could have really hit the jackpot. So I think it would have set their franchise back several years. I think Zimmer and Spielman probably get fired 2 years earlier, because after 2019, the leash is probably up. Remember that the Vikings needed to win a playoff game in 2019 for those guys to retain their jobs. And I don't think they do that if they sign Keenum and then draft maybe a rookie in 2019. But you know what? just looking only at 2018, not looking at the future, not looking at the domino effect, Kirk Cousins was not very good in 2018. Kirk Cousins threw the Vikings out of some games, pick sixes, untimely sacks. The Vikings only went 8-7-1. You know, if you bring Keenum back into that offense just for that 1 year with the chemistry that he had built up with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen and everybody, I'm not sure the Vikings are that much worse in 2018. And remember, they only needed to win one extra game to make the playoffs. So I think there is a world where they actually do a little better in 2018 with Keenum, but I think the book is out on Keenum. He's an average backup quarterback. 2017 was an anomaly.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to go with mine. What if they had signed Case Keenum? I think that if they had signed Case Keenum, we wouldn't be looking at Kirk Cousins with his shirt off right now. Kirk Cousins would have probably ended up a Jet. I don't think the Vikings would have been looking to sign a big-time veteran like that at that time. They would have moved on and felt like, all right, we got our guy. From a draft standpoint, I just don't know if they would have taken that leap. Like, I feel like this was a team predicated on defense, predicated on I can trust my quarterback to not screw up. Let me have because Zimmer had a top 5 defense back then. And so I think it would have been a defensive-minded team still. I think they would eventually had to blow it up with Case Keenum on the team, and you set the team back, I don't know how many years, 3-4 years until you can find a quarterback. Maybe a team that turns around and tries to sign Matt Ryan. Who knows? Like there's so much that could have went into that with Case Keenum. Probably a running team. Dalvin Cook probably could be like, a top rushing leader every year, and the Vikings trying to find ways to get into the playoffs. But yeah, I don't think they would have competed every single week, but you never know. Next one, like I said, the Timberwolves, they're not good. They're not good. And before we jump into this Timberwolves conversation, Sam, I think we have a word from our sponsors.
Well, thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. The word from the sponsors can wait a second because I've got something important to talk about. You guys gave me a lot of flack last week for not having seen Love Don't Cost a Thing. So I watched it, and I've got a complete review. Out of 5 stars, I give the plot a 2. I can't tell you how many movies I've seen where nerds are working on a science experiment and one of the nerds becomes cool and abandons his friends. However, I do give it credit for being a little ahead of its time because it was that movie came before 21. It came before Social Network. Those are other movies of that type. Acting 1.5 out of 5. No way that any of those kids were actually in high school. But Steve Harvey does salvage it. Steve Harvey as the overeager father is by far the best bit in the film. Cinematography, 4 out of 5. I thought there were some really cool shots, like where they're filming the science room, like through the microwave. They've got the overhead looks of the city. That was pretty good. I thought it was creatively shot. What aged best? Kenan Thompson. The guy does not change. I watch every SNL. He has not changed in 20 years.
Awesome.
Coolest cameo. Stuart Scott. Man, I love seeing him on SportsCenter. Best montage. Air Force One by Nelly when he's becoming cool. He's getting the makeover. Fantastic. Ultimately, and by the way, foreshadowing on the guy running into the crowd and like beating up fans. Totally pulling a Ron Artest. Final verdict. 2 out of 5 stars. I couldn't watch Nick Cannon. It was way too cringy. When he's trying to be cool, I had to turn away. It was brutal. So I enjoyed pieces of it. I can see why it's a hit, kind of a cult classic. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe I'm too old to enjoy it at this point, but I did give it a try, and I just wanted you all to know that.
We appreciate your effort, Sam. We appreciate that.
That was pre-Gigolo Nick Cannon, too.
Wow.
Good job,
by the way,
Sam.
congrats to
Great
Nick Cannon
job.
welcoming his 12th
job,
child. That came out on Twitter
Good Lord.
yesterday.
Good
Why
Lord.
stop
Yeah,
there?
he needs to
Why-
see.
why-
That's the
why-
problem.
why-
See, Steve
why-
Harvey
why-
tried to show him how to use condoms, and he did not pay attention. Like
He didn't
clearly,
learn.
he didn't pay attention to Steve
Learn
Harvey.
to
Trying to repopulate the earth.
So that was a documentary. Okay.
Yeah. So Bet Online, by the way, with that, betonline.net, your number one source for sports wagering info. Vikings favored by 3.5 over Buffalo. That line just keeps sinking as Ron prognosticated. Make sure to check that out and plenty more. NCAA football, NBA, MLB when it's in season, UFC, boxing and golf. It's betonline.net. It's where the game starts. I'm done with my movie review, and now it's time to talk sports again.
What's the line at for betonline.net, Sam, right now?
3.5 favoring Buffalo.
That's what I said. I said that on Monday. I said it's going to be 3.5. And look, here we are. Look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought? Man. And the Lakers, they're not doing well. Timberwolves aren't doing well either. Not really a free fall, 5-7 after 12 games. But Luke, I'm going to start with you. What do the Timberwolves need to do to get this thing fixed? Because for me, I'm a hooper. Like, I play basketball all the time. I understand spacing. I understand sometimes if you have a guy that's on a heater, you keep going to that guy and you spread the floor out. We saw Ja Morant do it. We've seen Steph Curry do it. The Timberwolves have to figure out who their guy is. I think I know who the guy is, but Luke, we'll start with you.
It's tough because on the court, it's not just one thing right now that you say, if we fix this, we're good. Last year, they were one of the better three-point shooting teams in the league. This year, they're one of the worst. Ant's not getting to the rim a lot because there's too much traffic in the paint, he says, when Rudy's on the court. D'Lo's just a mess. He isn't playing like a true pass-first point guard. They're in the bottom of the league in pick-and-roll production. They're just getting slashed. Chris Finch has to go to a zone concept more, leading to more three-point shots being wide open. I really think, right now anyways, they miss a guy like Pat Bev, especially in that department. Offensively, it's just a lot of poor ball movement. Guys are just standing around waiting for someone else to make a play. I can handle the growing pains as long as you're seeing some good movement on both sides of the ball, full effort every night. What I can't handle is guys, hands on their hips like we saw with Ant the other night, guys playing hero ball when things aren't going their way. And that all starts with the coaching, and Chris Finch certainly has his work cut out for him right now. But by no means do I think the season's over just because of a slow start. Many experts assumed they would start slow out the gate, and as bad as they looked, they're still only 5-7. So I'm not counting this season a loss quite yet.
What you got, Reggie?
Yeah, it was interesting. I was playing the soundbite from Anthony Edwards after the game yesterday in my sportscast, and it just like infuriated everybody in the studio because of like the smirk that he had. He was like, "What are we now? 5-7? Yeah, we're turning around. Don't worry about it." And I think it was just like, okay, can we have a little bit more urgency here? Can we have a little bit more, less cavalier attitude here? I think what they need to do, Tim Connolly needs to make a call and call KG. KG needs to come to practice and just start yapping at everybody, cussing them out in practice each and every day. Like, this is just unacceptable. They can't shoot. They can't defend right now. Cat scored 11 points the other night. Ant's not doing much in terms of production, not getting much from D'Lo. Jaden McDaniels had a great game, but like when you're relying on him to be the top scorer for you, like you got some problems. He's supposed to be a great complementary piece.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to go. We're going to change this up. We're going to keep going in order. So I'm going to go next. This is what I say about the Timberwolves. And when I look at basketball, I'm a basketball guy. I play all the time. I love to go run an open gym run. I'm going today. I'm going later today to play. So when I think about basketball, this is what I notice. And I think Luke said it about the lane being too clogged up. When you have too many bigs, if you can't get spacing with your bigs, you are going to create issues for those that like to slash. Even if you're not a shooter, like if you're not a great shooter and you're 7 feet or you're 6'9", you still need to spread the floor. If you are going to enter the lane, you enter the lane after the fact. So once Anthony Edwards starts driving, then Rudy Gobert can follow. They've got to work on some call plays where if Anthony Edwards is on the right side, Rudy Gobert and Cat are on the left, they have to figure out some backside. And if you want to see this poetry in motion, just watch the Warriors. Now, they don't have any bigs really truly in there because of how they play. But when Steph Curry is front side, backside, they still have motions and sets going on. Like, it is ridiculous. And why do they do that? Because those guys trust. So they have to figure out ways how to do that. They got to figure out ways how to work the backside, set some picks, crash late, and then let them dish it if they're overplaying you. And then you got to be able to hit free throw line and extension jumpers. Like, I think that's the key for those bigs. We know Cat can. Rudy's got to open up his shooting game. I don't know how, but he's got to figure it out. Shaq couldn't do it, but Shaq also was a monster. Rudy's not a monster. What you got, Sam?
I think you need to look at D'Angelo Russell as an absolute must trade. And in that trade, you need to acquire some glue guys. Right now, you have no glue guys. Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley, and Pat Beverly are glue guys, and you traded them for Gobert. Okay, so you got to go find new ones. Kyle Anderson and Bryn Forbes aren't exactly delivering that for you right now. I think that getting Russell out, I think that you get rid of someone who is very on ball. They need the ball in their hands a lot, and the Wolves need to be a little less sticky. They need to pass it more. They need to create those open looks and have that kind of chemistry they did on the offensive end last year. So I think D'Lo actually is someone you need to dish from this team at the deadline. And then Ant just needs an attitude adjustment, right? Like, it seems like this offseason kind of broke him a little bit. He took a lot of heat, a lot of criticism for the comments that he made off the court. I think that was all fair and valid. But he seems like a totally different guy, disconnected. They need him back, and they need him to be assertive in the worst way.
Well, next one up, we got the Gophers playing the Northwest. We do got Northwestern Wildcats. What am I talking about? I just watched Nebraska film this morning, so I'm a little off. But we got the Gophers playing Northwestern. And when you think about this game, Athan Kaliakmanis versus Tanner Morgan. And I think it's going to come down to, I think Tanner's injury is a concussion, because in college you don't have to say it, you don't have to disclose it, but he took a big hit at the end of the half where they didn't even try to get a run another play. He kind of walked off the field gingerly. So if Athan Kaliakmanis starts, we'll start with you, Sam. What do you hope to see from Athan if he starts?
Yeah, and I'm assuming he does. And I think that they need to give him the keys for the rest of the season. I would love the concept of Tanner Morgan going out and ending his career with winning the axe, winning the pig, winning a bowl game. Like, that would be really nice in the storybook. But PJ Fleck needs to think long-term about this program. And no better way than to get Kaliakmanis ready for next year than to give him the last 4 games. This has to be a confidence builder game, because the 3 after this are going to be Iowa, Wisconsin, and bowl game. This is where you build up some equity against Northwestern, who hasn't won since they beat Nebraska in Ireland, like back in August. Kaliakmanis has thrown 45 passes so far in his spot duty this season, and he's completed 20. That's completion percentage of 44.4%. I want to see more accuracy. He's got 1 touchdown to 3 interceptions. Let's clean up the turnovers. Let's build some momentum going into the trophy games starting next week. That's what I want to see from Athan.
All right, what you got, Reggie?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with Sam. Look, much respect to Tanner Morgan and everything that he's done in the program and for the program. Great guy. But I think you know what's going to happen with him. You know what you're getting. This season, I wouldn't say it's a wash, but you're not playing for necessarily anything meaningful. And so it's like you might as well just get a head start on next season and put a guy in there that you really have a high hope for. You know, PJ Fleck is very complimentary in what he feels like Kaliakmanis, his future is going to be with the Gophers. And so I think put him in there, play in these big games against Iowa, against Wisconsin, maybe get him some confidence built, like you said, Sam, in a game against Northwestern, a team that they should beat. Get them some confidence going, headed into next season, and maybe you start rolling and you can kind of get this thing going and really reach the potential of this program that you want to see, which is them competing for a Big Ten, them competing for meaningful bowl games.
What you got, Luke?
What you hope to see is just the flashes of why he was brought in so highly recruited in the first place, right? 4-star recruit, Gatorade Player of the Year, you mentioned before the show, coming from Illinois. I don't need him to go out and start 10 for 10 or put up a perfect passer rating, as long as he flashes the physical tools that got him here in the first place. The dual threat ability, some off-script splash plays with his feet, a few chunk plays downfield with his arm, because all the other stuff, that's coachable and stuff you expect from anybody making their first start. But what I want to see is the stuff you can't coach, the raw physical tools you see and say, that's a guy that's going to go out there and make some plays for us on his own and give us just a little spark offensively we haven't had at the quarterback position in a long time. All the other stuff you can coach, we can teach him, but the physical tools, the athleticism, that's what you hope to see, at least glimpses of Saturday. That alone, I think, win or lose, would give me a lot of optimism about the future and bring some excitement to the program, knowing we've got a guy who if coached right, surrounded with a little talent, can help us score a lot more points in the future than just the game manager we've had in Tanner Morgan the last, 6-7 years.
Yeah, this is where I'll go with it. I watched the Nebraska game this morning, and there were some glaring issues. One, Nebraska, to start the first quarter, dominated the time of possession. It was like 2 minutes to like 9 minutes. It was ridiculous, the time of possession to start the game for this team. And then the Gophers kind of got it in the second quarter, and then they started to kind of fight back. So when you look at all of those issues, what happened? Athan Kaliakmanis came in the second half. So what do I expect from him? I expect him to start fast. The same way he started the second quarter, the third quarter, fourth quarter. I saw some big plays. I saw him throw a 3rd down and 8. Defense didn't give him a favorable look. Took the same exact look, pumped it, threw it deep to Daniel Jackson the very next time he was on the field, because it went from 3rd down to 1st down for that play to happen. So 3rd down, punt, got the ball back, threw that ball deep. And so that's what I'll say with Athan Kaliakmanis. You got to start fast, and you got to understand what this defense is trying to do to you, because Pat Fitzgerald's defenses, they're nasty. They're nasty, and they can really get you. Well, of course, this is the part of the show I love, and I got a brain teaser for you guys. This one, we're going to go around, see what you guys think. So when you look at the Super Bowl, everybody's talking about Kirk Cousins and quarterbacks win Super Bowls. But the passing leader has never really won the Super Bowl in the last 16 to 17 years. But in the last, since 2001, I guess we'll say, to now, that's 21 years almost. Do you remember what year the Vikings were the passing leader? They led the league in passing at some point in that 21-year span.
Passing yards, Ron?
Passing yards.
2009 with Favre.
2004 with Dante.
Yeah, I was going to say 0102 with Dante.
What you got, Reggie?
What year are you starting with?
I'm going from 2001.
02.
Okay. So the winner, who said 2004?
Oh, that was me.
Yeah, 2004.
I knew it was one of those two.
Wow.
Led the league in passing. And so the Super Bowl, so this is the thing for Vikings fans. There's a reason why I brought this stat up. Everybody keeps talking about quarterbacks and, quarterbacks win, quarterbacks this, quarterbacks that. But it doesn't really matter. Like, the quarterback, technically, yes, he's a big part of this. But if he doesn't get it done, who cares? Like, it's not about the quarterback leading the league in passing. He doesn't have to light it up to win a Super Bowl. So that's the good news. Here's another one for you, though. So you brought up 2009, Sam. Can you name the team? It wasn't the Vikings. It wasn't Brett Favre. It wasn't the Packers. I'll give you this. It wasn't anybody in the NFC North. I'll even help you guys out. It wasn't anybody in the NFC. Who was the passing leader in 2009?
Was it Patriots?
Colts. Peyton Manning. Colts.
Nope.
Would be my guess.
What you got, Sam?
The Jets were good, but I don't think it was Sanchez.
Big Ben. Steelers.
This is hard. This is hard to put yourself back and try to remember who Jay Cutler was. It Jay Cutler? No, he was with the Bears. I don't know.
Here, I'll tell you. This is I couldn't believe it when I did this. The Texans.
Oh,
what?
The Texans.
Sage Rosenfels?
What?
One of them. I don't know who the quarterback was. I didn't go that
Shaw?
far. I just the Texans led the league in passing in 2009.
Big cool.
What?
We didn't even think about them being a Super Bowl contender. So it's not always about that. And here's another stat, just to throw it out there before we get out of here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams have lost the Super Bowl but led the league in passing. The Chiefs, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Raiders, my rookie year in the NFL. All those teams led the league in passing, and they lost the Super Bowl. So in the last 21 years, the legal age to drink of the NFL since 2001, no team has won the Super Bowl that led the league in passing. No team. So it doesn't matter, people. For everybody that thinks you need to lead the league in passing to win the Super Bowl, false. You do not, because in 21 years, it has not happened. Now, have you gotten to the Super Bowl? Yes. We had the Raiders get there, the Patriots got there, the Broncos got there, the Patriots got there, and the Chiefs. But you know what? They all lost. Here's another ironic one before we get out of here. A lot of those teams led the league in passing the year before, and then the next year won the Super Bowl, and they didn't. So maybe they figured it out. Maybe they led the league in passing. It's like, you know what? This is not the way to win. We got to lose the passing game. Let's run a little bit more, control the clock, and let's go out here and win a Super Bowl. Here's the moral that I – so quick twitch, because I just looked at this morning. Quick twitch, what I looked at, it's all about where the ball bounces because the Giants – so this is the 1 year it almost happened. The Patriots led the league in passing in 2007 with Randy Moss. We remember that. It almost happened that year if not for the Giants. And we know what happened in those years with Eli Manning versus Tom Brady. So that's another part of this. It's like it does not matter sometimes. Like the Chiefs lost to the Bucks. We know what happened there. The Patriots lost to the Eagles. So it's about the ball bouncing. It's about getting the opportunistic play. 7-1 Minnesota Vikings are winning games ironically sometimes. Oh, I can't believe they won that game. They won. The Giants. I can't believe the Giants Super Bowl champions. They're champions. Who gives a crap about the helmet catch? Oh, if he had caught the ball on his helmet, they wouldn't be champions. So what? So freaking what? My dad used to always tell me this. When they played the Houston Oilers, and I think it was Billy White Shoes Johnson or whoever, the play was on my dad, right corner of the end zone. My dad one-on-one with the Houston Oilers receiver. You can go back and watch the video and watch the take. Catches the ball. The refs go to the monitor. But they don't have a monitor back then. This is what the funny thing was. Everybody assumed they were going to some kind of monitor. There was no monitor back in the 70s. They went to the phone lines. They called the cops, and they said, if we say this dude for the Oilers caught the ball, how many cops can you get down here to get our guys out? Like, how many cops can you help get our refs out of this stadium if we decide to say that this dude caught the ball in the corner of the end zone? And they told them how many, and the refs came back and said, out of bounds. Just watch it. It's a long delayed play where they come back and they say he's out. Steelers go on later and win the Super Bowl. But they beat the Houston Oilers in the I think it was the AFC Championship game. And my dad was the DB covering the guy. And every time I brought that play up, my dad would just show me the ring and say, you know what? I got the ring. So who cares if he caught the ball or not? So that's what I leave you fans with. Who cares how they win these games? Who cares if Kirk Cousins is barely winning? Who cares if he's not the number one quarterback in the NFL this year? Who cares if Dalvin Cook's not the number one running back? Justin Jefferson, one of the top receivers, but statistically, who cares? It's all about what happens at the end. And that's what we're looking forward to. 8 games in, 9 games to go. Vikings still can get it done, people. It does not matter. Stats don't lie. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't. But that'll do it for the Locked On Sports Minnesota Roundtable. I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. That's Reggie Mitchell or Reggie Wilson. Reggie Mitchell was the guy that recruited me to the Gophers. That's Reggie Wilson. And that's Luke Inman, the most interesting man in the pod. I want to thank you. Have a great day.